A long-awaited day, gluing up the top. First, I need a strategy. There is no way I could glue up 42 slices of plywood in one glue session. I would have to keep them all straight, line up all the drill holes used for indexing in the finished top, and try to wrangle all those pieces to clamp them up. The glue would soak in and dry up before I would be able to finish. I decided to glue up 6 slices at a time. I had a single 7/16 inch bolt with a nut that was long enough to clamp 6 layers. I also found a few other shorter bolts that would help index 3 or 4 layers as well. I really had to dig deep to find 7/16 diameter bolts in my pile of miscellaneous fasteners. It's like finding hen's teeth. I excluded the 2 outside layers from the gluing plan. The second layer from the front and the back will have to take into account the nuts of the threaded rods that will go through the top via the drilled holes. The very outside layer will be visible, so it's a smooth finish layer to cap the top on the front and back faces. Now that leaves 38 slices. The first 3 and the last 3 will have mortises in them to index the top, as well as hold the leg vise on the front side. A mortise is just a hole or a recess that will accept a tenon, and a tenon is a matching piece of wood that will fit into the mortise. I am just going to jigsaw the layers of plywood as necessary to provide the correct alignment for the vise tenon that I will make in a future video. The leg vise mortise will be 1 inch in height, 12 inches in width, and 3 plywood layers deep. I decided to try a couple different methods to spread the glue quickly and evenly. My initial try on the first 6 layers was to use a putty knife to evenly spread the glue in one pass. I think if I used a 6-inch putty knife it might have gone better, but it seemed like it was a waste of glue. The second method went a lot easier. I had a bunch of really cheap 2-inch paint brushes that I bought off of Amazon. They were cheap enough that I just threw them away as a single-use product. I also tried pouring glue straight from the gallon. I think that was a big waste of glue as well. It went on way too heavy, and I also managed to miss a 4-inch wide board. By the time I got to the third chunk of 6 layers, I seemed to have finally got it together. Gluing went smoothly, clamping was down to a system, and things were going just fine. Once the glue had set up and partially dried, I removed the clamps and scraped off the excess glue. I think that removing that glue is some of the most satisfying things to do as a woodworker. Just something about the sound and smoothness of the glue coming off the seam like that. One of the challenges of building a laminated plywood workbench is the amount of glue required for all of the laminations. By the end of this project, I will exceed 1 gallon of glue. I do find it easier to refill this 16-ounce bottle each time. I can place the glue more accurately when needed, as well as get a better bead of glue when I need to spread it a bit thicker. Here is the last of the chunks of 6. Wait a minute, you say. There is 8 layers there. Well, 5 layers will fit in the remaining space next to the tenon, while the last 3 require me to jigsaw the mortise recesses in them. I decided to glue it that way as well. First the 5 layers, and after that had dried, add the last 3 layers to finish out the 6th chunk. I did have a big concern here with my original leg measurements, in the stretcher links into the mortises and the stop of the tenon shoulders. Would there be exactly the right width of plywood and glue thicknesses to allow 35 layers of uneven plywood to stack properly? I have to say, I did pray a little prayer before stacking all the chunks in to see if there would be enough space. Thank the Lord in heaven for the kindness He has shown me. They do fit, and the fit is exactly what it needs to be. After this final chunk, the next step is to glue all 6 chunks together into one cohesive piece, and then crank down on the threaded rods. After that, a single layer on each side to allow room for the nuts and washers that hold the whole thing together. Lastly, the finishing layer on the front and back before building the vices and running the dog holes. This project is coming within view of the finish line after a long run. It's a good feeling to have come this far. Next week, we will finish up part 2 of the top, locking it all down on this Moravian workbench. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.